Days after winning his third Masters 1000 title in Cincinnati, it was revealed that Jannik Sinner had failed 2 drug tests back in March while playing in Indian Wells. He'd taken 2 tests, one on the 10th and one on the 18th, and he'd failed both of them. Thus, he was prematurely banned for testing positive for the banned anabolic steroid clostebol, which has links to aiding muscle building. Now, this wouldn't have been a problem if people had been notified about it, but obviously we're in August now, and this happened back in March, and it was all covered up. As well as this, it was kind of odd that Jannik had been suspended, yet had been still allowed to play while he was suspended. For example, like he was suspended just before Madrid, and his suspension had been lifted. By that time, he was able to go to Madrid, and he was conveniently also missing in Monte Carlo. Now, obviously, we don't know the full story. The story that proved Jannik's innocence in this was that his coach had used a cream on himself. Not his coach, sorry, his physio. Used a cream on his own hand, which he then ended up treating Jannik with his hands without using gloves, massaging Jannik's legs or whatever. And this banned substance from this cream had got into Jannik's bloodstream via cuts on his foot and legs or toes, for example, wherever the physio was massaging. Therefore, that's why Jannik had less than a billionth of a gram in his system. However, this is very odd just of how the ATP and the board kind of kept this under the rug, because he's world number 1, which would be the main reason why, as we've seen different cases taken months or even years to resolve, yet Sinner was allowed to play as soon as he'd given a story. As soon as he appealed it, it was fast-tracked. Now, this does seem to be quite unfair, as many tennis players have given their statements on X, for example, like Denis Shapovalov, who said different rules for different players, which you cannot disagree with, considering the fact that Jannik's season wasn't really affected by this, despite him losing ranking points and his prize money from Indian Wells, which is the standard procedure for when you do fail a drug test during whatever tournament you're in. It's still confusing how his case was so efficiently dealt with, yet other cases were not. As well as this, Nick Kyrgios as well was hopping on Twitter, making all these kind of statements, calling people potatoes, but he also does have a point as well that you can't just sweep this under the rug. And despite, everyone saying Jannik is a stand-up guy, I think he's a world-liked player on and off the court, you cannot help but think that this will slightly tarnish his reputation. Not only people on Twitter calling him a doper or whatever, but just in general, how it was dealt with, and him randomly letting this trainer go from his team months and months after he had contaminated Jannik. So it's all just a bit strange, but this is the latest tennis news, Despite whatever has happened now, the board has deemed Jannik innocent on this, and, he wasn't purposefully trying to use clostebol to aid muscle growth. And I also do believe this as well. I don't think Jannik would try and jeopardize his career. He is world number 1. He had just won a Grand Slam. I don't know why he would want to try and jeopardize his tennis career just for a few extra pounds of muscle. I know it is a longer term goal for him to probably pack on more muscle, improve the physicality in his game. However, I think that the main people that have a problem with this is just the way it was dealt with. However, I do think that if Jannik was cleared of innocence, the board, there's intelligent people there. They've read this case. They know what they're doing. So that's just, there can't really be too much stick on Jannik's behalf, because regardless of what you feel, he has been proven innocent. So, yeah. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care and peace.